On March 7, 2025, neighbors at a St. Paul apartment complex called authorities to perform a welfare check on one of their neighbors whom they became very concerned about. Authorities arrived, entered the apartment, and discovered 39-year-old Rick Clemmers dead. The authorities and the autopsy, etc., indicated that he had been dead for a quote-unquote very long time. 39-year-old Rick Clemmers, a native Minnesotan, he was a Minnesota resident, was severely cognitively and mentally disabled to the point where the state of Minnesota's Medicaid, Medicare, medical assistance programs determined that he required 24-hour, as in around-the-clock, care. He was physically incapable of caring for himself, feeding himself, bathing himself, dressing himself, keeping himself safe, etc. Now, one could posit why in the galaxy would a man so cognitively and physically, mentally disabled that needs 24-hour care be allowed to live alone in his own apartment? That's a video for another day. The reason he died was because a guy, Abdul Ibrahim. There's two of them, Saeed Abdul Ibrahim and Saeed Awil Ibrahim. Okay, Abdul Ibrahim, I believe, is the correct guy after going round and round with AI to confirm that name. Is an immigrant living here in Minnesota who committed Medicaid fraud. He scooped up the contract to care for Mr. Clemmers and never cared for him. He took all the money. That included the food stamps and all the other stuff, and never went to care for him. He showed up, opened the door, closed the door on a couple of occasions, apparently, but he physically, literally never, ever cared for this man, never did anything for him, but took all of the money to care for him. So, Mr. Clemmers had a medical emergency. He had a medical event. Alone and incapable of getting help. And he suffered and he died. Alone. Now, when you are cognitively, they believe he was severely disabled with schizophrenia and extreme levels of autism, the fear and the confusion that must have been going through Mr. Clemmers' mind and his soul as he was struggling to take every breath he could and survive, alone, not able to get help. And the one person tasked with caring for him was out probably, partying on the money, because apparently a lot of these scammers got yachts and Beamers and whatnot. This defenseless, helpless man was alone with no way to seek help. He had to have been terrified, confused, abandoned. I thought I could do this without crying. And Mr. Clemmers is only one of more stories of these filthy pigs these fraudsters. The fraud in Minnesota isn't just about taxpayers being bilked and never being able to get that money back. I have been bilked for tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars because of these pigs. But that pales in comparison to Rick Clemmers and all of the Rick Clemmers out there. This man suffered. He had to have been so scared, and there was no one there to help him. Because he was promised care that was stolen from him. And that fucker, Ibrahim, that pig took a plea deal. So he is free. He's out running wild and free right now as we speak, having a great life. Oh, he has to pay restitution. He's not paying restitution to Rick Clemmers and his family. No. He's paying restitution to Medicaid, Medicare for the state of Minnesota. Because God forbid Walls won't get any of his cut, will he? Got to be sure about that, don't we, Walls? People who have listened to my videos know how I feel about humans, animals, humans. However, there are exceptions, and those exceptions are Rick Clemmers, animals, humans, and get my hand down there so I can stomp on it for the Abdul Ibrahims of the world. And this pig is not just running wild and free, being able to live a free life while Rick Clemmers is dead as a doorknob, and many others are too. But he immigrated here to Minnesota in the 1990s because he was deported from Canada for asylum fraud, identity theft, and fraud. And so they kicked him over the border and sent him to us. And now we're stuck with them because they won't get any restitution. They won't get any inside information about the whole fraud web if he's not here in Minnesota. So now we have ilk like that running wild and free in Minnesota while the Rick Clemmers of the world are suffering. Mr. Clemmers didn't have to die. He didn't have to die alone, abandoned, probably terrified. And you know what? From the public records I could glean online, they didn't even charge him with murder. I would have charged his ass with murder. Because he knowingly and deliberately abandoned this defenseless man and allowed him to die. And he didn't care at all. He's not welcome here. He doesn't belong here. I know it sounds really primitive and ignorant when people say, go home, go back where you came from. But in this specific case of these religious extremists who come from a culture where their third world mentality is no higher than that of an animal pack, their values, their choices, their religion is not conducive with the values and principles of American life and the American rule of law. And if you are an American and you choose to become a Muslim, you are joining a group of people that think it's okay to rape children, sell little girls to marriage, and stone women, and who think that fraud is okay. that letting Americans suffer and die so they can have a BMW, a yacht, a cruise vacation. These people are morally corrupt, if they have morals at all. And I know, I've said it before, so have many, not all Muslims are bad. Show me the good ones. Because all we're hearing about, all we're seeing, all we're reading is about the bad ones. Got some good ones? Show me those good ones. Defend yourself. Fight your case. Show me decent Somali Muslim immigrants and the good that they've done for Minnesotans, not other Muslim immigrants in Minnesota, CAIR, care, but for Minnesotans. What have you done for Minnesotans? What have you done for Minnesota agriculture? What have you done for Minnesota commerce? Oh, you put up shops that are Muslim, Somali exclusive, restaurants that sell exclusive foods to Somali Muslim people. You push out churches and other religions, and you want to block everything off. That's not the same as being a productive part of society as a whole. I did trust that my taxpayer dollars were going to help all Minnesotans. The farmer down the street, the priest in the church in downtown Minneapolis, the third grader at the elementary school, and the Muslims. But it's not that way on their side. This is what's causing so much social unrest and so much hatred in my state and across the nation. It's not racist. It's got nothing to do with the color of their skin. I have yet to see examples so I can really confidently say it's not about their religion. But why did Minnesota take this man in? Well, because we're a sanctuary state. We have an abomination for a governor who covets crime, who covets fraud, who covets murderers over his own citizens. And remember, I talked about this before. It's called suicidal empathy. It's a mental deficiency, a mental disease, defect that afflicts like the rioters, the ICE rioters and stuff. They're completely irrational. They don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, but they feel like they need to put their lives on the line for really, really awful people, when really awful people have no right to move among civilized society free and clear. They need to be put away. Now, a topic for another day, and I would love your input on this. I get that adults have this rights. In America, adults have rights. They have civil rights. They have, lawful rights like everybody else. But when you are so cognitively, mentally, and physically disabled that you are physically incapable of caring for yourself for not even 1 hour a day, and you require 24-hour round-the-clock care, you should not be left alone to languish in an apartment relying on some home health aide to care for you. Now, I get not every home health aide is a bad person. I've known a few, and they were bad people. Sad to say. saw it firsthand. But there is no compassion, there is no goodwill in letting someone as defenseless and helpless as Mr. Clemmers to live on his own without any oversight, no supervisors coming out to check, nobody, nothing. He should have been in a safe, clean, protected facility where he would have gotten that round-the-clock care from paid salary vetted employees. He'd be alive today. He'd be getting the help that he needs when he needs it. Now, we have jails, we have asylums, we have halfway houses, we have facilities. And I know that people, when they think of that, they think you're jailing them. You think that you're taking their rights, but they're not. We're giving them a chance at a whole life. A life where they can make strides at getting as healthy as they can and be able to live a full life. To have connections, to have purpose and meaning. There is nothing right about letting a man who is so completely incapable of helping himself. It's the same thing as putting a 1-year-old out on the street in a city and expecting them to know what to do to keep themselves safe. Now, I'm not saying that disabled people have the mentality of a toddler, but I'm saying that if they are as defenseless and helpless as a toddler, you wouldn't leave a toddler on a street corner in New York City by themselves. So why are we leaving grown adults to languish in homeless encampments, in apartments with no physical way to get help? We need to change the way that we see people who may not have family, who may be having problems staying in a place mentally and physically where they can care for themselves. You can build all of the housing that you want, but these particular individuals that have no way to care for themselves, you know, if that was your elderly grandma and you told the family that you were going to care for them and they languished that way, you'd be brought up on charges of elder abuse. If your grandma was in a nursing home and they didn't care for her properly, they would be charged with elder abuse. And that's not to say that every facility is perfect and fine and Disneyland. Of course not. There are bad people everywhere. There are bad facilities. But in the case of Mr. Clemmers, it is completely inexcusable that there was no social worker, there was no oversight, there was no supervisor, there was nobody to hold Ibrahim accountable, to oversee him. Nothing. We don't care about our homeless. They're an inconvenience. The mentally ill, yeah, just put them in, commit them for 30, 60, 90 days, but then let them loose so we don't have to look at them anymore. That's the mentality that we have going on in the United States today. That is why our homeless problem is so chronic. Because people don't realize that what needs to happen to care for these people is not happening. Mr. Clemmers deserved better. Mr. Clemmers was depending on the state of Minnesota. He was depending on his fellow man to do the right thing by him. And we all take responsibility here in Minnesota for his death. We failed him because we didn't stand up to our legislators. We didn't put our foot down and say, this is not okay. People like Mr. Clemmers need safety and security and protection. And what did he get? He got murdered by some filthy pig immigrant who got kicked out of Canada for being a criminal. Oh yeah, Minnesota will take you. They don't care. They like criminals there. Yeah, go ahead. If you're a criminal there, you're going to live the high life. If you're in the state of Minnesota and you're a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen, you're going to get fricked up the ass. But if you're, a foreigner from somewhere, oh, you committed a crime? Come on in. My name is Tim Walls and I love you. Disgusting. Reprehensible. 39-year-old Rick Clemmers suffered and died alone. Probably scared and confused. Helpless. Defenseless. And our state did nothing but pat him on the bottom and give him a Capri Sun and say, okay, so, give us a few dollars each month for your restitution, but go ahead and live a great life. There's no words. There's really no words to really nail how disgusting and reprehensible this is. So if you're a praying person, please pray for the soul of Rick Clemmers. Please lift him up. He deserves that from us at least. And until next time, do good and be good.